welcome to today's podcast. Today, we're going to talk about some hacks, 3 to be exact, of how you can jumpstart your business. And if you're starting from zero, how you can get there quicker. Today, we're going to talk about some hacks, some ways to jumpstart your business, how you can get there quicker. So the thing is that so many people, when you start a business, especially from zero, it takes longer than you want.
Ooh.
Doesn't it?
Absolutely. The initial push is like, it's rough. I think that's the main reason, my guess, why so many businesses fail or probably
more quit than fail.
Yeah, that was really what I was going to.
For sure. And, Tony Robbins says it really well, or he said it in one of his programs or books or something. He said people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10, because business is one of those curves. And we've talked about this before, but it's one of the curves.
Compounding curve?
Yeah, one of those.
Well, it's compound interest, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what everything, like,
life
is
compounding
interest. So the longer you do something, the more it compounds.
Yeah. And so we kind of came up with this formula of typically it's 2 things that you need in order for your revenue to start going up in the success that you see to start coming up. And that's not to say that you're not having success and you're not doing important things when you first start out in your business, but it doesn't always feel like it right away. And it is skills plus momentum is equals revenue, right? And that's what causes your revenue to go up. So you need both skills and momentum. Well, skills and momentum both take time, right?
And consistent input.
Consistency in time. Yeah, consistent input. So some people are like, but how do I start a business? Is there any hacks or tricks or anything to get there faster? And there are actually some 3 to be exact that we're going to talk about today. Some are more of a hack, some are more still going to take time. But the first one is this. Well, actually, I'm going to tell you a story first. So we were at a small group for the church that we go to, and this lady said this. She didn't even know she said it, and we're sitting there talking to her about something. And it was, and she was showing us around, and she was giving us a tour of her house and telling us about this fire that they had that burned down their house. It was like this crazy story.
A part of their house.
Yeah, they had to redo a lot of their house, right? And so she was telling me this, and she was telling a story of how they originally bought it, and they didn't have any money, and they were buying a business at the same time.
They bought a business.
Yep, and then they bought a house right afterwards. And she said this line that made Zach and I both go, wait, say that again? Not
until later, though.
Yeah.
It wasn't later. She said it, and then it just showed back up. Later, we were like, oh, wait a minute.
She said, when you buy a business, you buy an income. Think about it. When you buy a business, you buy an income.
Assuming that it's a profitable business. If you buy a non-profitable business or one that's on the decline, you might not be buying as much of an income as you thought. So
for sure. But it was a very interesting concept. And we'll have to have one of our friends who's a business broker come on at some point and share with you more about that. But one way you can jumpstart and get there quicker is to buy a business. Now, to your point, you're going to want to know a little bit about business, and you're going to want to be able to...
You want to make sure that the business is sustainable.
Exactly. Right? And so there are people who have bought already a working e-com business that when you buy it, then it still continues to produce the same amount. But again, you have to make sure that their where their streams of people are coming from is consistent and reliable. Some people buy service-based industries, like the lady we were talking about. They bought a professional power wash company, so they had power wash restaurants. Well, as long as they knew, as long as they could do that work, they had business because they had returning customers.
And they bought the clients.
Right? So
they bought the list.
Right. And that's actually one of the biggest things you're buying when you're buying a business. So that's one way you can shortcut it. So if you're trying to start a business or want to start a business, desire to, you could look at buying a business. That is one option.
Buying the list or buying the system.
Right.
Typically.
Yes, but you're buying the business, which is the system or the list. Yes. Right. So that's one, buy a business. All right. Number 2 is this. And this is actually kind of what we did. But one of the things you need is skills, right? So you can actually get paid to learn. How do you do that? How do you get paid to build your skills? You can go work for an entrepreneur. right?
Could.
So you can go find an entrepreneur who's successful and you can go work for them. Believe it or not, all the time they're hiring, they're looking for people. One of the best ways to do it is actually to go learn from an entrepreneur and provide value back to their community. And eventually, like, there's a good possibility that they may want to hire you if you show interest, but you have to provide value first. So again, it may take time. You can also look and just see who's hiring, but one of the best ways is to go and provide value in a community first. So that's another way you can actually go work for an entrepreneur to develop the skill. Or here's another option, which is still kind of the same way of developing the skill. You can go get a sales job.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. That won't even require time. There's lots of sales jobs, but sales is one of the main components of business.
It is.
And so you can get really good at sales by going and doing a sales job, and it's giving you training for building a business.
Indeed. And I think we should circle back. So I think working for an entrepreneur is important to gain skills, but I think in corporate or like a mainstream job, there are skills that you can acquire there that translate over, right? Like if you're in accounting, right? Like accounting skills, you need those in every business, or like general computer skills, right? Like I learned a lot of Excel and like how to read data at my corporate job.
You did.
So like that applies to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and
right?
so I guess here's the way of saying it is, one way is to work for an entrepreneur or use and learn skills in the current job that you're in, or get a job that you can use skills, such as a sales job.
Yeah.
Actually,
being a big one.
Dan Henry, if you've heard of him, he's in the internet marketing world. He's a pretty big player. He actually started, I was listening to him, and he was telling a story about how he got started. He started selling, I believe it was knives at Costco, like, those demonstration things. That's like, funny. And he learned sales. His first job, like, that was a sales job of his, right? And he's learned from a variety of things. So it looks like he came on the scene and just made $1 million really, really quickly. But the thing is, he had other jobs and other things that helped him learn the skills necessary for that before he even got into what made him more well-known in that industry. Yep. So really honing your skills in either a job that you have or getting a job that allows you to hone your skills is great. So if you're in a job right now and you're like, I really want to be an entrepreneur and own a business, well, great, but use where you're at or get a job that you can develop skills that are going to help you. So that's number 2. And the last is this, and it kind of plays off of what I just said, is you don't have to go quit your job right away. Oh, yeah. A lot of people, this is going to take more time than the other 2, but build a side business, meaning you don't have to quit your job right away. You can start working on things as you're working. You did that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a combination, right? Like I had a corporate job, so I was I was still doing skills and developing skills based on that. But I was also developing new skills that were, closely aligned with what I was already doing and what I was already proficient at. So I wasn't like trying to do something completely off in another field. I mean, you could, but obviously, like if you stick closer to what you're already good at, it's going to go faster. So
so if you want to go from 0 to entrepreneurial hero as quickly as possible, then what you want to do is there's three hacks. It's buy a business, buy a list or a system. Oh, yeah. Right. It's hone your skills in a job. Okay. And then develop a side business. So do those three things, or one of those 3 things, or a couple of them, and you will be on your way. Awesome. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to learn more, check out this next video.
Right here.
We think you're going to really love it.